is the day after the big day. The Super Eagles of Nigeria losing to Benin Republic. We're here to pick the pieces of the qualifying campaign for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We'll do the analysis and the post-mortem of that loss. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Tonight on the show, we look at the qualifiers for the World Cup. We'll also talk about, of course, what happened at the Oriental Derby when Rangers and the Aba Elephants, talking about Imba, took to the field. Was a very, very eventful day on that day when both sides met. So that's the outlook of the show today. Of course, my colleague Austin Konakman is suited and ready as we begin to take you on a trip across the money spinning world of sports.
Spotty greetings to you, Yemi, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Still an action-packed, engaging, interesting world of sports. What a story. I mean, the situation the Super Eagles have found themselves is a very difficult one. I was on this show, I think the last time I was here was when Nigeria was taking on the Bafana of South Africa. And I had this confidence that the Super Eagles will just get something out of that one. They didn't lose. 1-1 seemed like a good result until they traveled to Abidjan to take on Benin Republic. And what a story. I'm still trying to recover from that one. The Cheetahs of Benin Republic stunning the Super Eagles by 2-1. Former Super Eagles coach Genotro was actually the winner, Yemi.
It was the winner. And, well, we'll see what happens. We'll talk about a whole lot of things on the show tonight. Maybe we should start off with the results. A confirmation of the results. So we'll take it from there. Super Eagles of Nigeria losing to Benin Republic still leaves a sore taste in our mouths, and we're trying to pick ourselves from it. And so this is it. We now have all the results from Group C, and this puts in perspective the mountain the Super Eagles have to climb. Of course, yesterday we lost to Benin Republic 2-1. Today, Lesotho lost to Rwanda. Rwanda on top of the group now. And South Africa defeated Zimbabwe 3-1. This is what you should be doing when you're playing at home. So they defeated their opponents 3-1. Well, we have with us tonight on the show the CEO of Elegbete TV, Matthew Edafe. He joins us tonight on the show. Edafe, greetings to you. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, Yemi, and it's a pleasure to be on the show with you guys. Like I said, it's about time HR sent me my ID card and my employment letter.
Okay, we'll think about that. All right, let me just... I'm trying to rein in myself not to say something, but let me feel your pause. Are you disappointed? Are you surprised with this result? How did it meet you?
I was in Oyo, but I'm not sure I am surprised. If I say I'm surprised, I'm actually lying. And the root cause of that is July 13th, 2023. This was my tweet when the draw was made, and I made this tweet. When I look at the draws, the teams that were in the same group with, understanding, and for context sake, go back to 16th of July, 2016. When I also tweeted when we were put in the same group for the 2018 World Cup qualifiers with Zambia, Algeria, and Cameroon, and I said that Nigeria will qualify with a game to spare or probably two. And people were berserk that I was arrogant. Remember, we were in a very difficult situation. We had not qualified for 2 Nations Cup at that time. But when this was done on the 13th of July 2023, I tweeted this. I said, this will be the toughest qualifiers ever. Chances are that the Super Eagles might not qualify from this group. Genotro is the coach of Benin. He would rather die than lose. South Africa will conspire with all their neighbors, Zimbabwe and Lesotho. I smell danger. And, in 24 hours, I have about 106 comments reacting to my tweet, and it was crazy. And since then, I've just folded my hands and said, okay, let me watch. Because again, in the last 10 years, I've been a bit close to the national team. And from a footballer's perspective, I will say that the majority of the players that play for the national team currently do not even understand what it means to play for the national team. We saw the game against Ghana. The players did not even understand the rivalry that exists. They think that it's just a social media banter, not a big deal. But it is a big deal in football. The game against South Africa, you could tell that some of the players don't even understand that, oh, we're playing against South Africa, and South Africans see this game as very, very serious. Look at the press conference before the match against Benin Republic. They say, let's show Ghana draw what he is missing. It's the most senseless and stupidest comment anybody would make. If you understand that this was your coach, your former coach, and he was not paid his salary for 14 months or so, and then he was fired unjustly, and you say, let's show him what he's missing. Like he just walked away from the team. So I expected Benin Republic, since last year, I said Benin Republic would beat us. It's not one of those teams that we can go and beat. The only thing we were hanging on was the fact that this game was being played in Cote d'Ivoire, where we had gone for the AFCON and we got on the way to the final. So it was a thread that we're hanging on to say, okay, well, we did well there. If that type of football is what we now represent, we did well there. But to be very honest, I was one of those people who believe that Nigeria cannot beat Benin Republic away from home.
All right, let me throw this in before I yield to Austin. How much of the blame for all of this lies with Finidi George? How much lies with the NFF?
Is that for me?
Yes.
So this morning on my show, I portioned the blame completely, 50% to the NFF for stupidity in decision-making, ranging from Amaju up until now, when we started on a trial, and then we took Pesero, because the NFF told Pesero this was the charge. Go to the AFCON, get to the semi-finals, and you have your job for keep. The man did one better by getting to the finals. You still didn't give him his job. And then you brought in Finidi. And then historically, if we want to look at historically, every time we brought in a Nigerian coach halfway through qualifiers, we failed to qualify. Sasa came in after Olise to qualify us for the Nations Cup. He failed. Sasa came in again after Keshi. Before Olise. After Keshi, he failed to qualify. 2015 and 2017, we didn't go to the AFCON. Austin Eguama came in 2006 after Chuku against Angola and then the rest. We didn't qualify. Austin Eguama came in after the draw in 2021. We didn't qualify for Qatar. So history was against this decision. History was against us. And in football, history really does play a part. So when they took that decision, 50% of the blame goes to them. Finidi George had a team that came to camp, started coming to camp on Saturday, right? And they were training, and then the strike happened on Monday. Eventually, Kelvin, Frank Onyeka, Alex Iwobi, Lukman all came late. But guess what? Those who came late were starters in the game against South Africa and the game against Benin Republic. So what message are you sending as a coach? That it doesn't matter whether you come early, whether you train all week. Well, if you're a big boy, you will start. 20% of the players, because when you go back to 2012, when Chelsea won the Champions League at the Alliance Arena against host Bayern Munich, that was not coaching. That was the player saying, you know what, forget about who the coach is, whether it's Roberto Di Matteo or not, let us win for ourselves. And I think that this team should have that kind of mentality of players who say to themselves, you know what, let's do it for us. There's nobody in this team that have gone to World Cup that made any mark at the World Cup. So let's go to the World Cup, because if we do not make it to this World Cup, 2030, most of them will be tired legs and be retiring. So it means that they don't have World Cup with all this so-called glory superstar Johnny Bravo team that we have. So I put 20% of the blame on them for not even raising their game for themselves. 30% of Finidi George for taking the game for granted and not considering any best to camp and the whole discipline of if you don't come early you won't make it, and then the way he selected his team, and then 50% for the sequence of decisions that we'll be making since December 2020.
Okay, since we lost to the Cheetahs of Benin Republic, it's been blames here and there, and that's normal, But I'm looking at the way forward. These qualifiers will be back next year in March, and then the Super Eagles will travel to Kigali to take on Rwanda, and right after that one, they will take on Zimbabwe. Now, when it comes back in March next year, they don't have any choice. They need to start winning all of their games. So let's come and look at what can help them win games, Matthew. You've talked about the coaches, the players, and the NFF, but let's narrow it down to coaching and the players. Is it a problem of tactical discipline from the technical crew or a problem of poor execution from the players?
So basically, this is one that is hard to swallow, but I'm going to say it again. I said it to China before, I said it to quite a few people. There is no Nigerian coach that can coach the Super Eagles. I'm sorry, Finidi George is my big brother. So I'm not talking, this is not from a position of not liking him. Finidi George is my big brother. I supported him. I would always support him. But listen, we have a virus in Nigeria, and only a few people in Nigeria can be exempted from that virus. We have a virus of being power drunk. That's why the most common word in Nigeria when you have money is, do you know who I am? And the do you know who I am contest of power of virus, some people don't say it, but they act it. So when you look at our players carefully, you're going to go fast. For contest's sake again, let's go back to how we behave. If you look at every company, there's always one white man. That white man might be useless to the context of what the company does, but he's the guy who goes for meeting. You know why? A white man sitting on your side for a meeting makes it easy for you to get a contract or for a bid to go through, your pitch to be listened to, because you are employing a white man. And that's how we have programmed our mind over a long period of time. Again, there's a conversation I was having with a group of Nigerian Super Eagles players, and I'm not going to mention them. And I was talking to them about certain things that they were doing. And this is the word that one of them said. He said, I'm richer than your governor. If your governor does not steal money, I'm richer than your governor. Well, who are you to tell me how to do? So look at a coach who earns 15 million naira in a month. That's about 10 to 12,000 euros. Trying to coach a Nigerian player who earns 100,000, 50,000, 100,000 pounds or dollars or euros a week. So when you put all that together, in the right phrase is an illiterate that have that much money, that much affluence, and that much fame is a toxic time bomb waiting to explode. And that's what we have with our team. So they don't understand.
That's why I talked about tactical discipline and execution. In Europe, most players earn more than their coaches, and they listen to their coaches.
The coaches are white coaches. The coaches are white coaches, my brother. It's that simple. It's not coincidence. It's not coincidence that our coaches are powerful at under 17. You know why? Because they can bully the players. Those same coaches cannot coach. All of a sudden, they are no longer good enough to coach at under 20, under 23, and then the senior national team. It's not coincidence.
People could also mention age cheats as a problem also at that age group level that makes us win.
Why not the age cheating happen in under 20? Because it's the same age cheated players for under 17 that move to under 20, and the same underage players for the other countries that go to under 20. How come we no longer cheat at under 20 to win it or under 23 to win it?
Edafe, still on the way forward. Still on the way forward.
The way forward for me is we're tied up with this whole thing, right? Remember once upon a time where we had to go for presidential task force, right? We are in that type of space, right? I don't think that Finidi George will be able to get the job done. Not because he's not good. I just don't think that the players will listen to him. I just don't think. If you look at the game against Benin Republic, the first 20 minutes you could see coaching in that team. There is coaching there. These players were playing to the coaching instruction. After we scored, it was more like, okay, coach, let us do our thing. These are small boys who beat them. But the Benin Republic, the Beninois, when you look at the cheaters, they kept that their 4-4-1-1 shape from the start of the game to the end. But we did. So, and then you go back to Ganotro and Pesero, you will notice that even when the players were complaining that, his tactics is stifling them, he's holding them back like Moses Simon and the rest of them, they played according to that instruction. When we look at Pesero, it's the same thing. How is it that when he gets to the current coach, all of a sudden they can't play to that instruction? That is the thing that comes with the fact that our players will not listen to an indigenous coach. There's just something about an indigenous coach that made them feel, don't worry, we can do it.
Yemi is getting ready to take it from me. With everything you've said, are you saying, or let me rephrase, can we risk it if the NFF said they want to let Finidi go and bring another coach to end this qualifying campaign? Can we risk it?
Yes, we can. Cote d'Ivoire risk it and won the Nations Cup.
That's a competition, Edafe.
But is that not crazier? There is no time to settle. There is no time to even think. We will have between now and September for the Nations Cup qualifiers and then March, the World Cup qualifier. There's time to think. There's time to try.
Because you will bring in a coach now that will say, oh, Pizarro and Finidi already ruined it after 4 matches. So there's already a ready-made excuse on the ground.
Okay, so there's a ready-made excuse for Finidi that Pizarro already ruined it with 2 games. Are we going to go with that?
Finidi was part of the setup.
There is nowhere in the world where you blame an assistant coach for what a coach does. There is nowhere in the world. Let's not start with Nigeria. The question here is, we still have a mathematical chance of qualifying for the World Cup. With a very, very slim one, but we will do titration, we'll do algebra, we'll do calculus and everything. We still have a mathematical chance of qualifying. Why not take the risk?
Okay, all right, let me take it from there. Why not take the risk? Kehinde Idris has joined us now, and interesting discussions going on. Greetings to you, Kehinde Idris. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show. You know what? Let me just allow you to see the table so that we get it out of the way. It's painful, but it's something we have to do. We have a job to do. This is what it looks like. In my wildest dream, I wouldn't have thought after match day 4, Nigeria would be in the 5th position. Maybe not first, maybe not second, but not in the 5th position. But this is what it is. Rwanda on top, South Africa, followed by South Africa, both of them on 7 points, and also Benin Republic as well, Lesotho on top of Nigeria with 5 points. The Super Eagles of Nigeria with 3 points, and it looks obvious now that Zimbabwe might be the whipping boys of the group. Kehinde Idris,
Yemi, while talking about this group, let me just take this in. In the last 5 years, Rwanda have invested $56.9 million in their football, from youth to the very highest level. That's what's reflecting on that group table that you see. South Africa have also invested similar. That's what's reflecting. But the Republic have not for 1 month owed the coach of Ghana since they brought him in. That's what's reflecting. How much your country, Nigeria, giant of Africa, how much have we invested in our football, whether from grassroots up to that level, where you now expect that against people who have invested, we should be on top of them, because we need to also call it spade a spade. There is an arrogance that we have, thinking that because we are Nigeria, we always must stop the group.
All right, that's true. I agree with you 100%. And so, look, let me just go at you straight. Austin has gone at Eda Festus. I'll go at you straight. Do you think we need to fire the manager? I mean, there's no preambles here. Do you think we need to fire the manager?
I think this question has been posed everywhere I've been, the simple question I ask is going to the NFL, but, talking to my colleagues or friends, is the fact that in that room, when you're about to give Finidi George that permanent job, what was the discussion about? Yes, we know it's a year deal, all of this. What was the discussion? Was it a discussion of Finidi George were employing you to get the Super Eagles into the Nations Cup and also the World Cup? Or was there anywhere the NFF discussed with Finidi that we want to have a team that will build for the future? Because now we're coming home, it's an indigenous coach. It's a coach who understands what has been happening for some months and then want to take our time to build. Yemi, there is difference in these things. If it's a case of you want a coach that will qualify us now, you can't tell me that Finidi George have got everything in his kitty to get us across that line. But if it's a case of building, I think Finidi George have got that. Roll with the team. Understand this team. How many days or thereabouts has he used, with this setup, some new boys coming in, understand imprinting on the team and all of that? These are questions that we should ask. And what Edafe said, just at the end, has been my thought all the while. 70% of the results we see on the field had happened before the match even starts. How have you invested? What is the psyche of your team? These are questions for our administrator. And Yemi, so many times, I think these kind of things should be happening to the Super Eagles. It has to be happening to the Super Eagles because we always feel those who are done a lot more to invest, we are better than them.
Unfortunately, we don't learn. We need to go on a break, but first let's just remind our viewers that on the DSTV platform you will be seeing Inside Niger Delta with Mahmoud Yakuga, but on all our other platforms you will be on to us on Sports Tonight, where we're discussing, having a post-mortem of what just happened with the Super Eagles of Nigeria and our chances of qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We'll go for that break. We'll return for more on Sports. All right. Somebody jokingly said that the biggest culprit in all of this are the football administrators, but somehow they've been flying under the radar, and some would say they've escaped accountability in all of this. But in a two ways, the sports minister seems to be asking questions, and rightly so. Questions should be asked. And immediately after that game, the sports minister, John Eno, had a few choice words, and we're going to take his quote, and you're seeing it right there on the screen. In the words of the sports minister, John Eno, he says, the recent results are unacceptable despite the immense support from President Tinubu and the high expectations of Nigerian football fans. The Super Eagles have underperformed. It goes on to say that the NFF must provide a comprehensive technical report explaining the reasons behind this poor showing and give cause why there mustn't be consequences for the disappointment caused both the government and the generality of Nigeria. The Minister of Sports Development, John Eno. And I agree with all of the things that he has said. But we've traveled down this lane before. The former sports minister also said this at a point, I think it was when Sierra Leone played a follow-up draw with Nigeria. Yeah.
The minister did a name dropping of the president. Please, can he categorically tell us how much is the investment that President Tinubu invested in sports? Because it is easy to say that if it is the hosting after the AFCON, that's not an investment, that's a charity. What is the investment? We separated the Ministry of Youth from the Ministry of Sports so that sports development can be accelerated, because previously 98%, because let's stick with numbers, let's not stick with rhetorics and emotions. 98% of the budget for the Ministry of Youth and Sports went into NYSC. Now we separated it so that there'll be more funding. Senator John Eno is the first minister to be solely a sports minister. He should explain to us how much the Tinubu government have invested in football, in sports, to the point where he is calling for technical reports. And technical report for 2 games, what really is the technical report? What does he want in technical? If they give the minister a technical report, can you read it and understand it?
That's a good question. But some will say questions should be asked. So I'm going to go to Kehinde Idris, then I'll yield to Austin. I believe, personal opinion, because it's Nigeria, I'm allowed to give my personal opinion. I'm trying to rein myself in and not say a few things. But you see, we are where we are today, and I agree with everything that Edave said, because people are not held accountable. Yeah. For a country that didn't qualify for the previous World Cup, you would expect that there will be some sort of seriousness. Yeah. But what do we do in Nigeria? We just try to fund national teams. That's all we do. We don't try to develop the league. There's nothing going on, and nobody is held accountable. You hear players getting stranded. You never hear about officials getting stranded.
How do we even fund the national teams? We hold players, hold coaches. Yemi?
Coaches that we've hired and fired have gone to other places, and you don't hear the stories about them.
They even blossom. Yemi, logistics are one of the things that teams like this must never suffer. We see it easily. Small clubs around the world, excluding Nigeria, they have, airline partners. They've got their, jersey sponsors, boot sponsors, sponsors who take care of some payments like the coaches, the player. These are things that easily.
I'm going to do something quickly, Kehinde Idris, because the scope is getting wider, and I don't want to lose track of what we're doing. And if I say something, we're going to yield to Austin in a bit, but I want to ask you, he said it's very difficult for a Nigerian, as it currently is, to handle the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Foreign managers may be able to do something, but do you agree with that?
I think I do. The reason why I always clamored for this, local coaches is the fact that I thought someday, one day, we would think of building, where that man can go as low as possible, start building the blocks, and then he rises, and then he gets into that stature where he's, okay, this is the face of our football when it comes to coaching for some years now, and then the respect has to come in. But if it's this chop and chain, and then, we want a quick fix, I think it will be hard for a local coach. Because even from those who employed him
not
giving him so much respect.
Wait, not because of acumen.
For me, not really because of that.
Okay, all right. That's just where I wanted to let you land on that. So let me yield to Austin in all of this one. Question marks. A lot of people are still bitter. One of the things people are angry about, and then I've also pointed it out, the fans are speaking the same language. It appears that some of these players don't understand what it means to the fans.
Yeah.
You lose a game, you're exchanging jerseys, you're shaking hands, you're smiling. That gets the fan angry. I mean, you're losing to Ghana and it doesn't mean anything to you. Benin Republic. In all my years, I have not seen Benin beat Nigeria, and this is the first time. It's really painful.
Yeah, it's the second win for Benin Republic against Nigeria in 17 meetings, so it tells you that it was really a painful loss. No excuses, but I always want to put it out there that African football is changing. So when we saw Lesotho, we saw Zimbabwe, we saw Benin Republic. I've been following Benin Republic and their progress. And I told someone that being close to Nigeria is enough motivation, to improve your football. And that's why I wasn't surprised when they went for Ghana draw. You see what I'm saying? Say, okay, come on, give us what, makes these people solid. We've said it when we failed to qualify for the World Cup, that the players don't understand, this current crop of Super Eagles players don't understand what it means to represent Nigeria. That's why I'm saying it that call the NFF, call out Finidi, but also call out the players, because I've been big on project management. I know execution matters, and execution is in their hands. Let's take the conversation back to Finidi George. He struggled to say something after that defeat to Benin Republic, but he said something. Let's listen to him.
It's to win, but there's no special formula for that. We have to see how the players will start the new season and see how we can get the best out of the players. So everybody must be committed. I think with that commitment, we'll win games. I believe we're going to win games. And if we can win games, the battle will still be there. So we can't throw in the towel because we've had only 3 points. We have to find a way to get these players back in a way for them to perform.
Super Eagles head coach Finidi George reacting right after that loss to the Cheetahs of Benin Republic. And he said that the team should stay committed. He said that when the season starts, they will watch the players again and find a way to get them winning again. How will he do it?
Well, that's what a coach is supposed to say. If we're going to stick with him, that's exactly what he do. He watch the players. What you expect the player? He wanted to come to the field and say, "Oh, the press conference," and say, "Oh, the players didn't do what I sent them to do." He's not Mourinho. He doesn't have the clouds of Mourinho. It's Mourinho that's the only coach that can tell you a player was running on the field with his body, but it was my brain that was working on it. There's no other coach that can do that, right? So he said what a coach should say. If we're going to leave him, it's still the same players. But you see, like you said, we need to hold the players, the executioners accountable. A general have given command, and your job is to go to that war front and do battle. But then you're turning the gun against your own fellow soldiers. So the players have their own fault. The problem I have with the Super Eagles players is when you criticize, we're in an era where you criticize them, they tell you you're playing with their mental health. You talk to them, some people who are, on the other side, benefiting from them will tell you, oh, maybe because they didn't grant you interview, that's why you're picking on them, or they didn't give you money. Some of these players are not good enough. Because, listen, Austin, we play street football, we play primary school football. Before I played professional football for Nigeria in the league and then went abroad. There are some basic things you expect a team to have. So, Take, for instance, free kick is not what the coach will teach you. This is something attribute that players bring to the team. We cannot win them because let's say they were playing low block and they were defending very deep. But we won about 9 free kick in front of the 18-yard box. There was not one that even walked the goalkeeper. That's on the players. Again, not being able to defend. When we consider the second goal, there were 7 Benenois in our 18-yard box and 5 of our players defending. That's on the players. And then our ability to turn over passes to the Benenois with ease. We win the ball. We're supposed to build up our play and go forward and transition into attack, and then we pass the ball easily to them. There were 4 Nigerians in that Benenois team. 2 played. 36 Lions players that were trained by Ajin Afan, the current chairman of the Lagos State FA. 1 played for Troy. Last October, I saw him at the garden list. In France, and he was like, "Oh, we're preparing for you guys, so I hope that you guys don't beat us too hard." But it was a guy crossing on the corner kicks. They beat us 2-1, Benin Republic. I'm not saying that they cannot beat us in this football, but I want to see my players fight for it. I want to see my players cover every blade of grass. The game against South Africa, I remember Kolunulo tweeted that 140 seconds video that Alex Iwobi is covering ground. And I said, what ground is he covering? Underground or what? And everybody was on my neck. Look at where we are. We're too quick to pamper these players. We're too quick to try to defend them, justify their position, and then when you criticize them, what's it called? Wilfred did the Allocation, actually the arrogant players in the team will come out and tell you, oh, Nigerian journalists do not know how to talk to players, to talk to somebody. They are always looking for help. You don't know how to play when you represent Nigeria, and we've got to say something about it. And when people say it, you don't come out with that attitude. That's the same attitude you took. You said, Ghana Trump will see what is missing. What is missing is what is showing. That how good he is as a coach. I could take some schoolboys, some little Peters, some untrained kids, and turn them to beat your superstar super elite. So we need to understand that our players don't care. They don't care whether anything happens. They jump on that private jet, go back to Europe, and go sit down there and begin to mock us. I mean, Alex will be saying, if we play on a good pitch, we'll beat anybody 10 goals to nothing. The pitch in Otunokon State, Akwa Ibom, is one of the best pitch in the world. Let's be very honest. That grass is top quality grass. They still play there and still couldn't win. You realize that we played 6 World Cup qualifiers now. 6. Of those 6, we've drawn 5 and lost 1. We've not scored more than 1 goal in any of those games. Even the first one, the one against Ghana, was 0-0. But these guys are superstars.
Well, that's I totally understand how you feel. And I want us to leave this conversation.
Yes.
But okay, we should say something before we go into the NPFL. We will get into that one now. Bullets. Missiles will start flying around again. Oh God, they help Nigeria football. But Kehinde Idris, Edafe said something about the players, and I look around, particularly the forwards. All of those guys command double digits. Alex Iwobi is a regular in his team. Wilfred Ndidi is a regular in his team. Ralph Onyedika is impressive for his club. What's now going on? Because I still believe we've got the quality, but what's the difference between when we see these guys play in Europe and when they wear that green jersey for Nigeria?
The attitude is the difference. The attitude.
I think for me, one of the reasons why I don't go to blaming the players is just simple. Your attitude as administrators, the way everything is being handled, these guys are seeing it. For the times where we go back, in the 90s, 80s, early 2000s and all of that. Yes, there are so many shenanigans from the administrators, but we also saw that there is a whole lot riding on the fact that, from the fans, there is a connect. Today, the Super Eagles don't even feel so much connect to the fans. How many fans watches the games? This is on the administrator. How many fans will buy tickets to come and see their games? Only said the other day was talking about training, whether it's a World Cup qualifier or a major tournament. Over 30,000 people will be at the National Stadium to watch games, everybody with their biro and their papers, jotting down the team that will play the next game because they have a connect. These guys see it. These guys see that even the nation itself does not have that kind of connect. Being a patriot has a lot riding on the fact that you see people that you want to stick out your necks for. It's not like that again. These guys are riding on what is happening today. See, the moment the largest comes in, this one wants to be like that. I keep asking questions. You hold the coach, you hold the players. How many times have you heard the administrators are being held? that has to do with football.
All right.
But the players and the coaches get hold every time. They understand these things. And their patriotism drops every day. So this is the reason why I stay away from blaming the players. The moment you step up and you let the players see this, trust me, they will gear up and do more.
Okay, all right. We have to leave this because, we are out of time anyway. So we have to go to another topic. There's a hot potato. I don't know if we're going to be able to end whatever we want to do with it. Week 35 got us talking in the Nigeria Premier Football League. Some interesting results, but special focus tonight on the game between Rangers and Enyimba. Was supposed to be an advertisement for Nigerian football. Was the Oriental Derby, but it turned out that it produced some ugly scenes. And I've heard so many people say so many things. I'm confused. Was it a penalty? Was it not? But where the Aba Elephants right in going out and not wanting to play, the fans' incursion on the pitch, a lot of things have happened. But let's quickly read out the decision, swift decision by the NPFL. So we'll quickly read that out and talk about it. Pictures on your screen. But let's quickly read out the NPFL decision on Enyimba International as a fallout of what happened. A fine of 1 million naira for failing to ensure proper conduct of their team. A fine of 5 million naira for disrupting a live broadcast. A fine of 1 million naira because of objects thrown onto the field of play. A fine of 1 million naira for encroachment onto the field of play. All of these things have been handed down on Enyimba, and order for 53 points and 3 goals in favor of Rangers International. A fine of 2 million naira for causing the disruption and discontinuation of the match. All of this on Enyimba. Let's talk about Rangers now. For Rangers, they didn't escape with a slap on the wrist. They got a fine of 2 million naira for over-ticketing, a fine of 1 million naira for failure to provide adequate security. You could see the security at the venue couldn't handle what was going on. A fine of 1 million naira for failing to implement effective crowd control measures. All of this is happened to Rangers. A fine of 1 million naira for failure to prevent unauthorized persons from gaining access to restricted areas. An order to implement more effective crowd control mechanism in subsequent home games. So these are the things that the NFF has decided. I wish we had time to really... But let me get Edafe's thoughts. And first, I know we don't really have much time. Was it a penalty? Was it not? Then, do you think Enyimba were justified with their decision not to continue with the game?
Enyimba was not justified at any point. There was a hand of the defender stretch that dragged the shirt of the Rangers player. When you look at it on the screen, you will see that hand pulling him down. Yeah, he went down softly, so you would say, but I would do the same thing. So it was a penalty. Having said that, the fines are also okay. Enyimba, the question I want to ask Enyimba or any Enyimba fan, and I love Enyimba, but is, would you have walked out of the field if you were playing a CAF Champions League match away in Egypt, South Africa, Tanzania, anywhere? Did you walk out because it's a Nigerian league? Because you would not. They've robbed the Enyimba worse than this in continental competition. They never walked out. On the part of Rangers, like you said earlier on, this is the greatest advertising for the Nigerian league, and it ended this badly. It is very, very sad. But again, we see that everywhere. There was a derby in Argentina that was unplayable. They had to move it to Spain at the Real Madrid Estadio Bernabeu Stadium. 96 people had to die in England for us to have the Premier League that we currently enjoy. A football stadium is not the safest place to be. But I also say that in the last 10 or 20 years, more people have died in churches in Nigeria, on the road, on the plane, or plane accident, or any other places than a football field in Nigeria. And so we shouldn't take this, because I've seen a lot of people say, oh, this is why I don't go to Nigerian football matches stadium. This is why I don't follow Nigerian football. Hey, hold your horses. This, if you follow our football, this is a regular thing in football. Italy versus England in the finals of the Euros, we saw how it happened. So bad that it created the documentary that is on Netflix for it. My point here is that Enyimba shouldn't have walked out. This tension, maybe the penalty would have been missed. But hey, it has happened. The fine is well dispensed quickly. Credit to the NPFL for that one. At least we're now Rangers winning the league. They win their next home game, they are going to be champions.
All right, Katie, quickly, we're pressed for time. Before we yield back to Austin, the punishments, were they good enough or should have been stiffer than that?
I think it should have been stiffer, especially on Enyimba, especially looking at the fact that if it were to be fans, probably I would have gone with this punishment. Players. See, there is a position you get to, the stature that you pose, that will make you do some things. Go back to Osai Samuel with Fenerbahce, that game against Rizespor. It was fined, not because of anything, because of his conduct. This man was defending himself. Now, it's not a case of him going to attack. Some people are coming to attack, and then you're defending yourself. But they felt as a player, there are some things you shouldn't try. Enyimba players were the one, they were even holding them back. They wanted to get into that crowd and do whatever it is that they have in their mind. I think that punishment was, should have been
Wasn't
stiffer.
enough.
It wasn't enough. And then what bettered this? The penalty call. That was a penalty anyway. Even if we take it outside of Earth, that is a penalty any day, anytime.
Even on the moon.
Even in the moon. I don't understand. And you see all of these things happen because there is, one person at the backroom staff of Enyimba that feels that this is the way they should have reacted. And like Edafe said, would you have walked out at the biggest of stages, Champions League, Confederations Cup, because we feel this is home? Because people don't get punished for so many things. 10 million thereabouts, Enyimba, you lose 3 points because you've not even gained any points in that game. Lose 3 points, 3 goals. That's too small. Make them lose 10 points. And tell me that they will try this next time. These are things, punishment always bring deterrence. It's not like you hate this person, you're just setting a precedent so that nobody else, especially that corporate, will not try it again. I think this is sad, what I saw with the players, what I saw with the team, and then from the league management body, I think the hammer should have fallen more.
Okay. I think Edafe wants to make a point, so let me allow you to make that point that you to Austin. You wanted to have
No, I was just agreeing with Idris. He's speaking my mind, and I thought that Enyimba should have been punished more. That what the punishment is not commensurate to what they did, because I know that Enyimba will not exactly this on the continent.
So right. you guys have done well with talking about the punishment and how swift the NPFL handled this one. But officials of Nigeria Premier Football League, come and sit down. I want to talk to you guys. Benga Elegbeleye and his team. You talked about ticketing, right? That Enyimba and Rangers sold more tickets. Where was your team? What control measures does the NFF have in place to ensure that we don't have that sort of crowd at the stadium? Because you knew the magnitude of that game. You know the rivalry between Enyimba and Rangers, and they're both going for the league title. So how come we didn't control it? You talked about crowd control. What was your quality control on the ground? NPFL officials, I'm talking to you guys. Because
it was in Cote d'Ivoire.
That's your job. That's your job to ensure that administration is top-notch. I keep saying it. Our problem is we think that the best football is when we get on the pitch and kick it. No. Best football is when you look at your checklist and you think that everything you need to play football properly is functional, is intact. Look at the Merseyside derby. Everybody gets involved, from the police to Liverpool to Everton, fans education. 2 weeks before that fixture, they start talking about it and make sure that everything is top-notch because they know the magnitude of that game. So NPFL, you also need to have the gavel banged on the table for your officials so that you start doing the right thing. Matthew,
Austin, let me just take this thing. Every time there's a problem, it creates opportunity for solution. 9/11 is the reason why we have better security at the airport. The Hillsborough 96 death is the reason why we have the Premiership the way it is. I think that this is a very good stress test for the Nigerian League. Next season it will be better. I want to see this type of crowd again in other stadiums, but properly managed, because we're forgetting the fact that Rangers made over 10 million naira from gate tickets. And that's a plus. For a league that people always say, oh, you don't make money. So that's a plus also.
So we knew this was going to happen because of the magnitude of the game. Unfortunately, we can't go on with the show. It's already time for us to go. So Matthew Edafe, thank you for your time on the program. We still need to bring you back to talk more about this and the league, particularly the We're on the final stretch now. Yeah,
Was that negotiating salary now?
Okay, that's okay. That's the show for me in London, Oslo, Konakpan, and everything you do. Remember, you're talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, before we go behind me, what's going to happen tomorrow in the Nigeria Professional Premier Football League? Aqua United up against Castilla United. Bendel Lishana will take on Rivers United. Eimba will take on Bayelsa United. Gombe United take on Abia Warriors. Kwara United take on Kano Pillars. These are match day 36 fixtures all for you. Niger Tornadoes will take on Lobby Stars. Remo Stars up against Heartland. Sporting Lagos will take on Plateau United. And Shooting Stars will take on league leaders Rangers International. Before I go, I want to thank Kehinde Idris for his time on the show. As usual, the conversation never ends.
Of course.
We take it out of the studio.
Especially Nigeria conversation.
Okay.
We always do that.
All right, thank you for allowing us into your homes. It's a privilege we will never take for granted. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.